Госпожа дочь полковника,
Товарищ генерал,
поздравляю тебя за твоими успехами в BIM.
ура, ура, ура!
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of BIM Careers. Today I'm in the presence of Xenia Gordienko. Hello Xenia.
Hi, Tarek.
And today we're going to talk about BIM's dirty little secrets. So this is a very interesting episode and we have a lot of very interesting topics to cover together. As I usually do, Xenia, I want to know, I always ask people the same question when we first start. Tell me a little about who you are and what do you do?
Thank you, Tarek, for the invitation. Really pleased to be here and looking forward for our conversation. How you know, I'm originally from Russia and I studied computer science back in St. Petersburg. But this career I found slightly too technical for myself, for my personalities. And I moved to Germany, to Stuttgart, south part of Germany, and I started from scratch studying architecture. And parallel to my second degree, I started to work in construction company, large European-based construction company, Strabag, but in Germany they call Züblin. It's well known for great, brilliant engineers. And I started to work there in the BIM department. Well, it wasn't BIM department there back in 2007. There were 3 enthusiasts, myself included, who were looking on the 3D software. And due to I was a student at the time, so it was not really a deadline-heavy job to get myself educated in different 3D based software and make some analysis for the engineers, what will fit in our needs or in the needs of the company, Strabag generally.
Nice. Yeah. That's very interesting. So you lived basically, just a quick overview, you lived in how many countries or how many countries did you work in BIM in general?
Actually in my LinkedIn profile, I have all these red dots. I don't know if you noticed, or if you guys are going to join me in LinkedIn, then it's exactly all projects where I worked on, but they were in the country where I lived in. So I was originally in Russia, and then I relocated to Stuttgart. But from Stuttgart, because this company is so large, I worked in Russian-speaking countries as well. I had a tour project in Kazakhstan, and of course Moscow, in Warsaw, and as well like all German-speaking countries, Austria, Switzerland, Germany, of course, and then to the north of Europe, Norway, Sweden. Yeah, that's exactly my countries where golf, of course, yeah. So as golf started to grow, Abu Dhabi and Doha, there were countries, I would say, right? Countries of golf where I worked on different projects.
That's amazing. Wow. That's definitely a diverse experience, and you have a lot of information basically about what's happening in different countries. One of the things I want to get your opinion about, let's start basically talking about education. So the academic, I don't know if you're aware of the current system basically in Canada, the background basically what students study about BIM at universities, at colleges, and different trades. Can you comment a bit about that? What do you think about the current system? What do you think about students' readiness basically in BIM when they graduate?
Great question. And tough one.
Yeah.
I noticed that people who are very quick into getting into BIM or VDC projects, they're usually people with the European education.
Really?
So unfortunately, I will say that Canadian education is lacking there. I can explain why, I guess. There are a couple of courses that focused on software, right? And people who are coming out of the BCIT or UBC, let's speak about Vancouver, they just know the software, right? But they don't understand the data flow generally. And there's some people who are using, for example, in BCIT, it's a great program, project management. I know many people who finished who got this degree. They understand the process, and then they just have the tools. So now they have to integrate these tools into this data flow process. When Europe, or particularly in Russia, how you know, they're giving you education not as a particular BIM expert, they're giving you education to educate yourself.
I see.
Yeah, so that's like you're an intelligent person, but you're not an expert.
Yeah.
Right? So if you were here in North America, you're really like tool-oriented person.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. So let's say you graduated, just like we all did. At a certain point, we studied, and we started our professional career. One of the first things that we get involved in is a lot of times, different steps in projects. You could get involved in schematic design or an actual project that is design development or construction documents. But let's talk about a gradual step, the ideal workflow in a sense in a project where you have proposals and we have contracts, and then we have the actual design development and construction documents. So let's start with proposals. What do you think about the current state of BIM in proposals? You heard of the expression BIM wash before?
You just shared with me this term before.
So yes, the answer is yes. So BIM wash, actually, yeah. I'd like to just share with you guys also BIM wash, in case you haven't been exposed to that term, is basically when you fake the BIM, basically. So there's a tiny Wikipedia article about this that explains what it is. But it's very interesting actually, because a lot of companies, where I worked in the East, in Montreal and Quebec, as one manager basically put it in one of the companies, he said, let us get the contract and then we'll figure it out, right?
Figure it out.
So it doesn't matter if you have the expertise, it doesn't matter if you have the knowledge, you have the experience. All that matters is we get the contract, and then we'll hire consultants, we'll hire people, we'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. So speaking of which, talking about this whole proposal stage, what do you think about the current state of proposals in BC and in Vancouver specifically? Do you think that BIM is integrated enough? Is it developed enough? Is there some BIM wash, quote unquote, happening in Vancouver, do you think, in some proposals?
Yes, of course. But it's absolutely normal, right? We are going we are going to the market, and we wanted to present ourselves with the best chick, with the chocolate side, right? Wherever it exists or not, if it's in the development, under development or not, right?
Yeah.
So that's absolutely normal to show best of your project, even that it's some issues were there, but that on the next one, exactly in the future one, you will resolve all these issues, and you will implement all your lessons learned. And there's definitely some BIM wash included in this. And I don't blame for being this. Of course, I blame people I would say that it's not correct. Promise something what you cannot accomplish, right? And the other difficulty on this way for people who are using this too much, it's as well awareness that to find the right BIM expert on the market is super tough. And you may promise something that you will accomplish, but without understanding and without the right person who you may hire soon, or need to be, this person needs to be hired soon, right? If you win this project, then it will be tough to accomplish the requirements or that what was promised.
I see.
Or I saw as well very funny proposals where there was so much included of VDC and BIM that it doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're just putting all these BIM users from 4D visualization and the high level 5D visualization even, right? Like connecting to the money floor and then still the handover and digital twin. But then you're looking at the project and it's like, ooh, they just have a problem with the steel construction.
Yeah.
Just make a good model and everything will work out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's no sense of what exactly should happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. There's under promise and over promise, right? The bigger problem is over promise, obviously, because I think, in my personal experience, I mean, a lot of times companies, you know, just like you said, they say we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, etc. And then they realize not just from a technical point of view that they can't do it, but also from a fees point of view, they can't fit all these additional services into the original fee that they actually agreed on.
Yes.
And then they have to, you know, then renegotiations start happening, or they start cutting down the scope, etc. So it's not very easy. One thing that really dictates these things is basically the contracts. So let's talk about contracts. What do you think are key BIM clauses that should go in contracts regarding BIM specifically? How can companies integrate BIM into legal language to limit their scope, to protect themselves, you know, for professional liability, and to take into account also, you know, the whole cost schedule and other factors?
Oh, it's one designer speaking to you, I guess. I have a special view on the contracts. I think it's very important. It's kind of a list of rules how the game will be played, and everyone should agree on these rules. And for BIM project, we have additional document, right? The BIM execution plan, and it's not nailed down document, how we all know, right? It's a live document, and whatever is happening can be adjusted. But I know many people in the different projects who have never read, you know, the BIM execution plan and not the original contract. So I would say that if we are speaking about contracts, BIM execution plan shouldn't contain copy-paste information of whatever you're finding related BIM execution plan on the internet. It should be clear definition of what is going to happen, who is going to do what is the technology, and how we're exchanging our formats, right? And then in total picture of the project, if we're speaking about contract generally, that's a very tricky part. As I first come to the opportunity to work on the design build project, I was like, oh my God, finally everyone will be on board, right? Finally everyone will be the team lead and team member, and we are going to have a nice volleyball game and not a tennis game. But I was disappointed. Because actually contract per se didn't change mentality of the people. And if architects think that construction guys, excuse me, stupid, it will stay with the architect forever. And here is exactly this, how we can change this approach of saying, look, we are a team, and even these guys maybe not have this aesthetic taste. They know how to execute that what you dream about. And how we can bring this knowledge and this knowledge together and accomplish the requirements of our client, right? So this, I think, in terms of VDC and BIM particularly, and how like all we BIM people, we are super transparent, we are super open, we are, I don't know anyone who is real BIM person will say, oh, that's mine.
Yeah.
That's like, and if I heard the story like, we don't want to share the model just because you have to pay us, it's like, it's also not a BIM company, like it's not a BIM project and not a BIM person.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we understand that my knowledge is only so valuable as your knowledge, right? And only playing fairly and playing openly, we can achieve the highest quality and the highest goal of the project. So that's about the game rules again in the contract documentation. Does it make sense what I'm saying here?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's about like how transparent we are working with each other and how much respect we are having and for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal is, if I'm working on the BIM project, as not goal but strategy, to identify the weakest lead in this chain, right? And take this person by hand and say, hey, don't worry, it's maybe your first BIM project, but we are going through this together because I'm literally depends on this person.
Yeah.
If your hangers from the electrical guy don't fit and he's coming to site and cannot find a space, everyone will be embedded to figure it out how the electrical guy will install his equipment or his trade, cable trades, right?
Yeah.
So that's everyone is important, and the most important one for me is exactly the person who has less experience.
All right, thank you.
Okay, then
Yeah. Well, cheers, Xenia. Cheers.
Cheers, friends.
Yeah, so sorry, we had a little tiny interruption by my cat, Juju. He came to say hi. He said, it's wine break, guys. You guys forgot. So he poured us some white wine and to health and to a better and optimized and improved and streamlined BIM industry in the future, Xenia. Cheers.
For this, guys, yeah.
Great. So the last thing that we talked about was clauses. We talked about contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Let's jump into production. Let's jump into actual design phases. We'll focus most of the talk basically on design. We'll talk also about construction administration and a bit about the handover. But I'll skip basically through schematic design. Let's talk about specific steps basically in design development. Let's talk about the building permit. So one of the issues that we had a quick conversation about is basically the whole permitting process is too convoluted, is too complicated, it takes too long basically by the time you actually submit for permitting and it gets accepted. You're already so far ahead in the design and you don't have enough time basically to finish your construction documents. You have to rush basically to do that. So can you talk about the current issues or problems that you see with the permitting process in Vancouver?
I think the main one is, of course, well known, that's just like super outdated, and that's needs to be.
In what sense? Can you elaborate?
Yeah, sure thing. Digitalization didn't touch the government in this case. So if you're going to apply for a building permit, you're filling out everything by hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's a copy documents. So you can, first of all, you can fill it out in the digital form on your PDF.
Yeah.
Let's say this step, and just multiply that because as the government or city, right, collecting these docs, they need to send it to different directions, to different departments for approval, right? There's engineering, there's different departments as well, and basically, so that's like. I don't want to say zero, but that's what I heard from the city friends. It's a lot of manual work. And how in Vancouver to get a building permit, it takes about 1 year, right? where in comparison in Singapore, you can get your building permit in 2 weeks. So guys, imagine that. Singapore, where like a spot where like no space to build. Vancouver, where we have land on it without end, right? And then these guys are taking in consideration 2 weeks, and we are dealing with this 1 year. How can?
Yeah.
Yes.
The whole process as well. If we speak, if you talk about specifically one aspect, basically of the permits, one thing that I came across from, and it ties into BIM basically in a very interesting way. That is the comments basically that the city basically emits on building permits. Sometimes they want them to be implemented on the current state of design. So we implement the comments, or we change basically whatever they commented on the current state of design. And sometimes they want on what was submitted originally, right? So nothing else changed, and we just want to see only these comments addressed on that. What we end up doing basically is we create a parallel model. So one that's basically a BP model, a building permit model. And then there's one that's the actual current state of design, which is, you know, the CD model that keeps evolving. Is that basically what you see also typically?
Honestly, that's what I see to the dirty secrets are construction companies. They're building to design and not design to build. So it's like exactly design involved so far that you don't have a time, you don't want to get this approval from the city anymore. You just basically start to build, and you're hiding the fact that it's different design already. So you're just like, you don't have this time.
Yeah, I understand.
And as well, construction companies taking this risk where they're building without permit, just as well to help clients to get their revenue back, right? To build it, because whatever is happening, like I don't know any construction. I have never worked on this project which was built before the schedule, as of the real one, the critical one, and it's always delays, right? Schedule is always delayed from some reason, and whoever, what kind of experienced person will create the schedule, it's always delays. Some reason it's just a question how you can mitigate this and like come to the your submission date, preparation date, or you cannot.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's switch gears basically and talk about the IFC, so issued for construction model. At the end of CD, one of the issues basically is, what do you define as, you know, the 95% or the 90% IFC? A lot of times for auditing, for quality control, for reviews, compliance reviews, etc. How do you define at what point is the ideal time to do, let's say, clash detection and to do model review, just a thorough overall model review to make sure that not only the construction documents, but the integrity of the model is also there?
Well, honestly, that should happen before IFC. For me, IFC, it means already ready for construction.
Yes.
It means that all disciplines are coordinated, and people have seen each other's work in the 3D space, right?
Yes.
The other problem is that designers, engineers, they're getting paid for the RFIs and site instruction, let's say, just as your work. But in my opinion, it's like, if you haven't done your work well, why you should be paid for this? And for general contractor, I haven't mentioned it at the beginning, right? So because I work for last 5 years in the real general contractor work, where we're executing the projects, BIM projects, and not only BIM projects, but executing. And it means as well a lot of delays again in the schedule.
Yes.
Like how can the design is so bad? How can that IFC is not IFC? And you're mentioning 95 or 99%. That's so long not the case.
Yes,
And
yes. You see this basically a bit earlier where there's milestones and projects. We have 75%, let's say 90%. The 75% a lot of times is not a real 75%, still a 50% maybe. And then we got the 90%, and most of the design or the finalization of the design happens in the last stretch. So probably 2 weeks to a month before the submission of the IFC documents and drawings. Basically, we have people rushing to just finish everything, coordinate the model, and deliver it. My question earlier was specifically about at what, if I rephrase it basically, at what point is the ideal time to do a clash coordination before IFC? Let's put it this way.
It should happen from the beginning. It's like as soon as you have model, as soon as you're started to coordinate, you have your highlights, right? You have your congestion areas, you have your what is usually moved in the design. Let's take hospital, right? Always we underestimate the size of the electrical room, mechanical room. More and more equipment is coming in, right? And like more and more stuff is going in. So that's these rooms of the electrical and mechanical, or like shafts as well, according to them, they're too small for that what we would like to bring nowadays into these buildings.
Yeah.
So, and it's the first thing which I'm checking, right? Just ensure that your stuff is there and you have enough space. Here is a tricky part. We spoke before as well about the ceiling space, right? And
yes.
like that.
Yeah.
That on one hand, you wanted to have not too much space, right? Because then the building is too expensive. Why you have to have that space, but to have enough space for electrical, mechanical ducts? You don't. But on the other hand, if it's too less space, you have an issue that you have to drop your ceiling down, and as architects, you don't want to do it either.
Mm-hmm.
So this design and functionality thing, how you can balance this. So in my opinion, in the future, we will all work on platforms like BIM 360. I don't promote Autodesk here at all, but it can happen on Archicad, it can happen in the other platforms. They're just like bringing different disciplines, engineerings together. And I see what my structural engineer is doing, I see what is my mechanical engineer doing as an architect or as general contractor. And I know, okay, so here is the congested area, let's review this. Of course, in the beginning, like we jump through the schematic design. It doesn't make a lot of sense to do clash detection with LOD 100. But
yeah.
As soon as you're moving to 300, that totally makes sense. Wherever design phase it is. It can be schematic design. Well, no, schematic design will be like
design development. Yeah.
DD, right?
Yeah.
It can be DD50, it can be DD70, whatever it is, but it makes sense already there.
Yeah. That's what we usually do around 50% or 70%,
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end of DD, basically, we start, more thorough coordination, model-based coordination instead of just, spot checks and whatnot, or even just reviewing drawings. I wanted to get your opinion about 3D models as deliverables. Did you work on projects where the actual 3D model was the deliverable, and what were some of the issues? What are some of the dirty little secrets there?
Little dirty secrets there. The very sad, not really dirty, but sad fact about these models that they're not longer used after they're submitted. There are many copy-paste of the BIM execution plan and BIM requirements from the clients. And the client requirements says, I would like to have my digital twin, or I just wanted to have exactly the model, let's say the last design model that includes site construction, right? And this model is taken by the client, and they're somewhere in the hard drive, and no one's really taking care of those.
Mm-hmm.
There are many reasons for this. Sometimes client even doesn't know that it was requested and it exists. Sometimes it's just a question of updating model properly, that the team is coming in, just quick reparation. Speaking about hospital still, that's maybe something, fan coil was replaced but didn't change in the Revit, let's say, right? We have to go back to the original modeling software, right, to make this connection happen.
Yeah.
Or minimum have a connection to the database and facility management information. This kind of bit sad, but it's what is happening to these models. The other fact is, it's a very big one. It's how we are capturing as-builds, right? And I'm going to want to share with you a dirty story.
Sure.
Requirements of the client: point cloud as-built of their underground services, black and white. Point cloud underground services. Me, like a leading BIM person, I'm going to the superintendent and I'm saying, look, here is it, client's requirements. I have to make it happen. I know that it's going to be tough, right? Because particularly again, like if you have a lot of underground services, it can happen a lot during one day. It's not like you're opening the dirt, you're putting your pipes or electrical duct and it stays for a while, then you're closing, right? If the services are going in one another direction, if it's something existing as well, what is very often the case, that you have to pause, right? Scan, close the dirt, going with the other services, scan, close the dirt, moving forward, right? And this is like, it means what for the general contractor? It means exactly this pause and invite the person who will do the scan. As I explained this to the superintendent, he looked at me and he said, "You haven't been here, I have never heard that." So general contractors are ready to take responsibilities for penalties and fees, just not to execute the requirements of the client.
Wow, this is a pretty big secret. That's not a dirty little secret. It's a dirty big secret.
But the fact is, right? What does it mean for the client? What does it mean for GC? For the GC means that, again, the schedule probably too rough, right? Maybe client didn't give enough time. For the client means as well, like to ensure that it's maybe, how can I say, this point described better.
Yeah.
For example, it's maybe not the point cloud, but you're taking pictures during this.
Just define the scope in general better.
Exactly. Just describe the scope a little bit detail so that you can simplify this particular point by not slowing down the construction process.
I see. That's great. That's very interesting insight, actually. Thank you for sharing this with us. The next thing the next thing I'd like to discuss with you is construction administration. So CA phase. What kind of issues do you face in general in CA, or what are some of the problems basically that you can share with us? Just very briefly, just touch upon some of the few things that happen. One of the things I can think of, for example, is revisions. Just updating basically any change orders or anything that's happening on site to reflect that back in drawings and correct it in drawings. There's the big question of, do you update just the drawings or the models, right? It all boils down to, what are you going to do at the end of CA, and how are you going to use the model at handover? So at the end of CA, are you going to actually use that 3D model for post-occupancy, for facilities management, operation and maintenance, or you just need a 2D copy basically of the revised construction drawings that show these changes and have some details about them. So what's your take on that? Do you think models should be updated systematically in 3D, or it depends on the case?
Yes, absolutely. Personally as well, like many people are saying like, yeah, but 3D means additional effort. Yes, I have to say yes. 3D mean additional effort because we are speaking about these parameters and attributes which are coming to the front, right?
Yeah.
And it's actually scope of work of these operation companies, maintenance companies who are coming and analyzing everything what was built and implementing in their database.
Yeah.
And of course, if I'm asking our engineers to implement it right now, that's exactly back scope which is taking to the front. It means more time for the engineers. But what is happening during the construction, and this is exactly where all design team is involved. We're still working with 3D, so 2D is coming from 3D, whatever it is. Here exactly very important portion about the contract documentation, what we said before, that 3D is not legal document, right? It's not a document at all, right? It's something like a different format thing, how you can rely on something like this. It's no stamp there, right?
Yeah.
We still rely on the 2D documents and the plans. But we have to understand that 2D have to come out of the 3D. The 3D is just reflection of this, right? And that's exactly where I'm checking out and ensure that the tagging system, that every wall, what we are using in Revit, let's say, we have many Revit models, that they're based on 3D, so that it's not 2D information manual placed, right, in AutoCAD we did, that it's automatic tagging system, so that I'm sure that this tag is placed correctly.
Another topic, digital twins. Can you comment a bit about that? Did you work on projects where you had to manage digital twins, since you worked a lot with contractors as well, you said?
Yeah, so that is exactly your previous question, like exactly this digital twins. This is the usually P3 projects, right? Where we are taking the model and moving this to the operation stage. Yes, that's very tough again about the as-built to maintaining this. And the toughest is actually in which point of time our subcontractor are taking the design over, and in which form they are taking over the models. Because actually we have a split in the software development that you cannot print nothing really in the level of details from Revit and not send it to the CNC machine. You have to remodel it anyways. So my job as a VDC manager or VDC enthusiast to minimize this gap, to involve models earlier from the trades, right? And even though it's maybe IFC in terms of the format or other formats like step files or even OpenG, doesn't matter. They may be silly in terms of BIM information, but they're having enough of geometry, right? So that they kind of duplicates of the design all elements, but this is exactly elements which will be sent directly to the production, right? To the prefabrication elements. And then exactly how we are collecting all this as-built information and placing this back in design. That's tough one, particularly with the plumbing actually, I noticed.
Really?
Personally as well, that we have a plumbing design, and then our trade is taking this plumbing design, redesign this completely. And that's so much easier actually in this way, and so much sophisticated that I cannot say anything. But I understand that if I'm taking the trades plumbing and saying to our design mechanical engineer, hey, please remodel this back so that we will have all info, I was like, hey, hell, right? So there's a couple of things where I see that the digital twin, it's exactly this combination of the design and trades models together, as-built information. And the other one in terms of the as-built, if you build, right? And this is exactly your main business. What do you pay for? Like to bring these things up there or down under the ground. Whatever. You're just bringing and you're out. And now I'm coming back and say, hey, can you give me some info and tell me where exactly you buried it there? Like seriously, I'm paid. I don't care what's there anymore, right? Yes, I know that I am required to provide it to you.
Here's the model, you figure it out. If it's there, it's there. If it's not,
maybe it's a little bit off, maybe it's another direction. The other joke, like it's not, unfortunately it's not a joke, but we are receiving some as-built plans, right, from the CC. And the last hospital where I was worked on, we have the main run sanitary pipe was 6 meters off. 6 meters.
That's huge.
That's huge. That's like how can, like, guys, like, I understand that pipes are moving under the earth, but 6 meters, so it was redesigned completely of their underground services. That was a very big impact.
Wow, that's crazy. Okay, last main topic I'd say is post-occupancy. So we talked about the pre-design stage. Basically, we talked about the proposals, contracts. We talked about design, mainly focus on building permits and IFC. We talked about CA, construction administration. Let's talk about post-occupancy and facilities management. So what kind of issues do you see there with actual models? I know we collaborated actually together on a certain project where you were adamant on having people put information that you would use downstream in DROFUS and other software. Again, we're not promoting any specific platform, but what kind of issues do you find with which relates basically to what you just said right now, the models being updated all throughout the construction phase, so that at the end of the construction phase, when you hand it over basically to the owner and the facility managers, all the information is there. Did you notice, let's say, what kind of problems did you face? Do you think, let's say, information is missing? The whole digital twin causes an issue. Which one do you use, right? We have a very detailed model that was used for construction. You have a design model. You don't know which one is updated. Some information is updated here, some information is updated there. How do you manage all that, basically? So when you finish basically construction, what do you do with the BIM model? What do you do with all this information? In the past, what we used to do is we print everything and then we just stack it in a big locker and we never open it for 20 years, right?
Yes.
Now what do we do?
Well, honestly, if you're coming at the end of the project, it's already too late to fix something.
Yeah.
You will never find back what was on the original one, how it was built. Like one person, you will as well not be capable to go to site and find all these differences between design and what was built. That's honestly, like, personally, I see that as built, it should be done by somebody else, because how I said, like, our main job of the trades, it's bringing their equipment and hang it out.
Building
things. They are not really longer interested in the documenting this. But the thing is that they're carrier of this information. They know the vendors, they know the prices, they know their all certificates which rely to this product. So you have to organize their work from the beginning of the project to capture all this information. And that's exactly where we spoke about COBie and parameters inside, or database style can be as well, like a huge Excel spreadsheet at the end of the day, but what information is needed on the output, right? What maintenance team needs to know about all equipment which was installed, and how we are collecting this data. And how I said, like, there are many differences where I understand that we are not bringing them back to the design. There's no need in the proof. There's execution of the work.
Yeah.
Back to the question about construction management as well. In terms of the construction management, it's only one thing important for the designers, that whatever site instructions are issued, that they're captured in Revit, or like in 3D tools, right? That the documents are, again, that what is printed with the site instruction is not just modified somewhere in AutoCAD or
just 2D lines.
I hope not Bluebeam, so it has to be in 3D, and then you will get a new updated model. And in terms of the trades, the key is that you're capturing these big issues. Here is as well, we spoke about tolerance and accuracy before, and I would say as well that it's different devices or different equipment that require different accuracy to be placed. Honestly, if this light switch is on this wall on this side and like it's not somewhere under and on this more or less height, I'm fine that it exists, right? But if this light switches somewhere in the ceiling, then it will be kind of concerned in terms of as-built.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's depends like what is important for you. But if I'm speaking about something like access hatch, right, to a particular device for the maintenance, that I can find this, that I know exactly I'm going there and I'm finding my access to the motor, right, or access to change the belt, right, whatever it is, it has to be very precise.
Yeah.
Yeah, access hatch is not really like a good example in this case, but something like, yeah, equipment related need higher accuracy and in terms of like as-built conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I'm doing this manually. I'm doing this manually. I know exactly these crucial corners, and it's very crucial as well to notice that as soon as possible. So as soon as the first guy is on site, lay out his hangers, usually the big ducts or fan coils again, coming in, and you're having all your information about where they have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second guy and the third guy, you're just like making check-in. As soon as this congested corner is fine, you know that the runs will be fine too.
Yeah. That for the most part is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just physically, that's my way to go.
That's very interesting. So I think we covered a lot of topics in this episode. One of the things we discussed is there's a common theme basically around this whole thing, which is more, from what I hear, basically is more collaboration, more coordination, more transparency between the different parties. Where, as you said at the beginning, it's not, if you say basically that this is just for me, then you're not a real BIM person. And I totally agree with that. This mentality has to seep into architecture, engineering, and construction firms and owners' mentality as well. To break barriers of fees, of contracts, etc. I mean, things have to be written in contracts, obviously, and they have to be written somewhere, documented.
Mm-hmm.
However, there must be some leeway into more collaboration, into more coordination, into more working together, basically, to deliver a project, and not just saying this is my part and this is your part.
Yes,
and this is...
yeah, exactly. That's, I think it's kind of it's exactly what's happening. This change right now, this deficiency. Oh, no, sorry, not deficiency. Deficit. Soviet Union deficit, right?
Yes.
Soviet Union deficit mindset, right? It's like, oh, that's mine. Oh, I have to rush up because the bread will be over. From there, okay, I have enough, and I will just produce more and more. I will never be like poor, or will be never like somebody will cheat on me or something like that. So, wherever will create more and more. So it's like this opinion of abundance, right? And collaboration stage is exactly, I feel like it's a stage of abundance too. Like you're not holding anything back.
Absolutely. If you summarize it in very brief terms, so in let's say 1 or 2 lines, what are the top 3 recommendations you have regarding these issues that we discussed basically on the construction side? So we talked about the topics, basically collaboration, coordination. If you pinpoint more specifically to what are the 3 top things that you wish we could solve today, what would they be?
Creating BIM execution plan together.
Okay, that's number 1.
Yeah, together I mean engineers are together with the JCs, together with the maybe client, and together with the trades. So
okay.
Here I'm tending to IPD approach.
Yes.
But I believe that it could happen as well in any other type of contract.
Yeah.
That's very important document, and if it's just for a couple of meetings coming together, drinking wine, speak about this, it will help already enormous.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's recommendation number 1. Number 2, what's your second recommendation?
Second recommendation, I would say don't nail down your scope of work, particularly for the client. I would say this recommendation goes to Autodesk products and all Autodesk formats. They are out there. It's a lot of software that are not worse than Revit, even though Revit is right now their monopoly, or Autodesk is the monopoly, but look out to Europe, Australia, what they're developing, and they're a lot for you as well, getting cheaper, getting efficient, find your unique niche in that what you need for your personal, for your company, for your needs, and yeah.
Just go with that.
Yeah, it's called Open BIM, guys. Open BIM means you're not nailed down to Autodesk products.
Yeah, just any products in general, not just Autodesk, but you're not format or platform specific. You just say it has to be done in BIM, and then it could be any platform, it could be any solution basically that does the job. Briefly, the third one. So these are 2 recommendations. The third recommendation, I'm making you work hard now.
I don't have third one. Third recommendation. So we make a recommendation for collaboration. We made a recommendation for the software. Technology should be involved somehow, right?
More technology.
More technology is a bit. I'm not for the more technology. No,
The correct use of technology. How about that?
Robot. Sorry.
The correct
technology. Yes.
So correct use of technology as well. So it's not just about employing all kinds of technology, but using technology correctly and using it in the appropriate way. Just like we said, some people, use 3D software and they draw lines.
Yeah.
Some people basically, make renderings halfway through and then they export them and continue the work on Photoshop.
Yes.
So.
Technology in the correct spot, that's a good one. I think I know how you can collect this, guys, or how you can distinguish that it's for you. There's a tendency in the market right now where, there's this new technology, we have to find out where we can use it in our processes. But actually, you're creating more job for your employees instead of solving something. So I would say you have an issue or you're analyzing your processes, finding where is the most lump portion, where is like, I'm bored to do it, it's too many mistakes, how I can optimize this process, right?
Yeah.
And where you find where you're lazy to do it, or one of your main peeps are lazy to do it, this is exactly where you have to implement technology.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you find the right technology to solve an issue and not only like implement something what is maybe help you, maybe not.
Yeah, I totally agree. These are very useful recommendations. Thanks a lot for that, Xenia. I'd like to end on a positive note, as we always do. So can you share with us your final thoughts? I know you are, quote unquote, cooking up basically a certain project.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little about that, if it's okay?
Yeah, with pleasure. It's not launched yet, but it's a big secret.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, just for you guys. Annika Chan and I, we decided to follow idea of Tarek, if you can say this way, wherever. It's never enough to speak about BIM, it's never enough to speak about virtual design and construction. And we very soon, hopefully very soon, we are launching our BIM Kitchen. And our, let's say, podcast or our line of channel, it's as well speaking more about BIM issues and bringing people around construction, not only BIM experts, but around construction, and pick their brains on some feedback for you, what they think about all this technological digitalization thing. And Our focus is as well on young individuals who may have many questions to experienced people, right?
Yeah.
Who may have questions they're shy to ask. But I hope exactly in the BIM Kitchen you will be nourished and got your answers. Thank you very much.
That's excellent. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Xenia Gordienko, and lots of very interesting insights into BIM issues that we face on projects. And in this episode, we discussed BIM's dirty little secrets. So they're not secrets anymore. All the things that Xenia shared with us based on her experience and her expertise in the field. Xenia, thank you very much for being with me today.
Thank you, Tarek, for
And
the invitation.
yeah, and I'll share also in the description her LinkedIn profile and some other useful information if you want to follow her as well on LinkedIn. And stay tuned for her project as well with BIM Kitchen and Annika as well. So thank you all for listening in, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it wasn't too long as well, but there was a lot of different insights that we got. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of BIM Careers. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
That's the little cat that was meowing a bit earlier in the background. Okay.
Just wanted to have us well attention. Attention, come to the...
Now you see, hurrah!
Hurrah! Hurrah! Hurrah! Hurrah!
Juju!
I'd like to be the BIM cat as well. I'm a BIM cat. Huh? BIM Careers, BIM guys, and the BIM cat.
Well, you will say as well some welcome words, I guess, right?
Yes,
Please.
of course. Поздравляю тебя за твои успехи с твоими успехами в BIM. За твоими успехами. Hello, everyone. Как можно сказать?
It doesn't make sense a lot.
Okay.
Or